This is a wooden staircase. Can you hear that? It's the sound of wood. Huh? And, yeah, now everyone, let's look up. Up here. Can you see this? Here's a wooden beam. Over here. Can you see it? It's, around 2 to 3 meters long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
This piece here is wood sealed in ice. You can see the wood in here. See that?
Okay. This.
The air is thin in here. I have difficulty breathing. And I'm surrounded by wood.
Yeah. It's not so hot, you know? Yeah. Okay. You can't feel that.
I finally set foot on the steps. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Huh? This is ice. I can see wooden walls on both sides. But is the floor also made of wood as well? Hey, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. I can see that the surrounding structure is wooden. Can you let me see the inside? I can't see it clearly. Shine your light around. Bring your light. Let's go look over. This is a mortise and tenon joint. I believe this is the inside of the wooden structure of Noah's Ark. This may be one of the rooms, and I can see the tenon joint. I see 2 walls on each side, and there's a wooden beam across the top. What I'm touching now is a wooden beam. It matches the Bible's description, but this is only a small part of it. We have to explore further, but it's very dangerous. And there's not enough air, so we have to go back up. Okay?
The space the Hong Kong team entered had a wooden beam across the top, and there were 7 wooden pegs on the beam.
All right, it's work. Yeah, work. Okay.
The team measured the wooden stairs to be 2.5 meters long. The floor was slanted down.
The team observed that the walls were made of wood. They were about 4 meters high and completely sealed in ice.
Dangerous. You can see. Why? Yeah. Why?
The space became narrower towards the inside. A log of wood and some rope were found at the end of the room.
Because
The wooden structure was located in a hazardous area. Volcanic rocks kept rolling down the slope. Since the passages into the structure were dug by hand, they might collapse any time. Therefore, part of the crew remained outside to keep watch, as the entire team might have to evacuate immediately if necessary.
We have to be very cautious because there's a lot of loose rocks. And they roll down here. Whenever the rocks fall, our guides yell to caution everyone else. At one point, we had to hide behind a very big rock, just to be safe. If this is the Ark, it would be covered and buried by lots of ice and loose rocks. But those spaces are really hard to go in because they're sealed. Sealed up tight with a lot of ice and rocks.
The team had to enter another space by abseiling down into it.
The team who went first helped break the ice which sealed the entrance. They found that the air inside was stale and there was a strange smell emitting from within, which caused irritation to the respiratory system and skin, resulting in a possible infection. Therefore, the team put on protective clothing before they entered.
Üçgen olmuş biraz, patlamış herhalde.
Inside this space, the floor and wall was certainly made of wood. The knocks they made sounded hollow.
The floor was covered with tiny white pellets. The team couldn't tell what they were at the time of exploration. What were they? Could they have been left behind by people who had previously gained access to this room?
There was a tiny door on one of the walls, which was roughly 1 meter tall, and a horrible smell emitted from behind that door. The smell could signal the presence of poisonous gas, and since the door couldn't be opened, the team dared not advance any further into the structure because of too many uncertainties.
The walls were tilted slightly, and they had a gentle curve inward. A broken container was found on an inverted triangular platform built in one of the walls. The wooden platform was 1.3 meters high, and it seemed very sturdy. It was strong enough to support a person's weight.
This space was 5 meters high, 2 meters long, and 2 meters wide. Primary tests done on the wooden specimen showed that the wood discovered was around 5,000 years old.
But was the structure that the expedition team entered an ancient boat as indicated in the folklore of the local people?
If it was an ancient boat, could it be the Noah's Ark mentioned in the Bible?
Dr. Joel Klenk, a zooarchaeologist who graduated from Harvard University and who has also studied classical Hebrew and prehistory.
Proving something that happened during ancient times is impossible. Academics can only trace it back to the source and look for reasonable explanations.
As an archaeologist, you look for deductive reasoning. You don't want to take, say this is Noah's Ark and try to prove it. What you try to do is you try to look at all the different types of options, and then you look at your data, and then you say what option best supports the conclusion that you're trying to make.
Reviewing the history of Mount Ararat, there were 4 main types of architecture on the mountain, including residential houses, religious establishments such as churches, monasteries and temples, shelters for farming animals, and military installations.
An An archaeologist who specializes in the mountainous zones of Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey, Professor Oktay Belli, is familiar with the locals' history and cultures over the last few thousand years. He pointed out that the area had a shortage of trees and wood. Most houses and churches were built with what was available, mud bricks for instance, and only a small amount of wood was used for support in these constructions.
Most buildings were built in the lower parts of the mountain, and the small amount of wood that was used in old houses or churches had decomposed a long time ago. None of this material was preserved.
Dr. Joel Klenk's analysis on the wooden structure found that the structure was in no way similar to ancient religious architecture. For instance, there was no evidence of an altar.
When you're looking at major architecture, even from prehistoric or early historic times, I mean, you come to mind the pyramid or the ziggurat or the Migdal temple. It's a tower temple. And all of these have very wide bases. And then as you get closer and closer to the top, it becomes narrower and narrower and narrower. Here you have the very reverse. You have a very wide structure at the top, and as you get as you get deeper into the structure contracts toward the center. Now, this is this does not go along with the theory of a major temple.
Today, the residents of Mount Ararat still lead a semi-nomadic life. They camp and live on the mountain during summer, and they return to their village during the winter.
Dr. Klenk also opined that in the history of mankind, shepherds would not have gone through so much labor to construct such an elaborate structure just to confine their animals.
Normally, what shepherd structures are they're shallow pens encased with a fence, or they take part of the natural landscape, they put it in a cave. And they don't line the cave with wood in the form of an oblong structure. No, they just pack the animals in there, they cover it with a slight fence, and then they keep the animals there. So to claim that it's a shepherd's hut or shepherd's pen is just is ridiculous.
Rex Geisler is an Arche researcher based in America.
In recent years, he collaborated with the Department of Archaeology and the Ataturk University in Turkey to research on ancient pottery and fossil specimens gathered on Mount Ararat. The goal of his research was to find out whether the migration route was related to Noah and the Great Flood.
The reality is that no wooden structures have ever been found or documented well on Mount Ararat, to my knowledge. And so whether it be a Turkish military installation, an Armenian earlier on installation, a Russian installation, there's been really no wooden structure.
Mount Ararat was once a highly sought-after territory. During World War I, the mountain was divided among three major nations: Turkey, Russia, and Armenia.
The Russian government once constructed a railway on Mount Ararat. Ties used for construction were removed by the villagers. For practicality purposes, Russian military installations were built below 3,000 meters.
Now, in regard to an installation higher up on the mountain, the Russians didn't tend to go up, that high all the time. And even if they did, it'd be difficult to communicate, to their comrades unless they were using like a smoke signal.
Through rational analysis, the chances of the wooden structure being a house, church, shelter for animals, or military installation were discounted by both archaeologists and an experienced Arche researcher.
The only reasonable explanation of the wooden structure discovered on Mount Ararat is 2,000-year-old historical literature and the descriptions of Noah's Ark in the Bible.
I don't see another good explanation as to how it could happen
why it would happen, the logic of getting that much wood up that high. So to me, there's a big positive question mark for the first time. Could this be it? And thus far, in my own mind, rolling this around, thinking about it rationally, I don't have a better explanation.
The expedition team went into other spaces and made another stunning discovery.
Altın boş mu? Evet.
Aha. Fazla gitme gel.
3 of the spaces were linked together.
The team climbed into a tunnel which measured about half a person tall and entered the wooden structure. This space was buried deep in the ground. Since the inside of the space had slanting floors, the team had to use ropes to help them move around.
At the entrance of this space, a very wide wooden staircase was found. Up to this point, they had found several stairways in the wooden structure. Each of them had different measurements and dimensions.
The wood found in this space was rougher than in other parts, and it seemed to be more worn out.
From this space, the team entered another chamber through an opening which was about 1 meter by 1 meter. The door sill was quite high, so the team had to carefully step over it to enter.
This space was shaped like a large wooden box.
Okay. Okay, we have to move. No. That's it. Thank you. Yeah.
There was a wooden beam on one side of the wall, and there were wooden pegs on it.
Right. That's it. That's it. That's what we do. That's no. What happened is 7. 7 is 1, 2, 3, 4.